I remember when I was a boy, I had no direction, a lack of purpose, and a sincere scarcity of understanding, which is what I see today, both in a face-to-face experience and also on a wider socially demographic aspect. Most men are living far below their potential and way below what they're capable of, and most of them don't even understand what that is. Within this VSL, we're going to deprogram your old beliefs, and beliefs that have been put in your head by people who don't necessarily want to see you win. We're going to go through some of the common mistakes that I see guys making, and also the solution to a lot of these things. Something important to note here, guys, is that I've personally helped over 1,000 men step into their masculine frame and transform their results, both in dating and self-improvement, which go hand in hand. From confidence to communication, status to attraction, I have guided guys to real and, more importantly, lasting change. My job in this video isn't to convince you of anything, it's to share the raw insights I've learned from years of helping men level up in dating. First of all, we're going to talk about who this is and isn't for, because I don't want to waste your time if this is something you don't need to be invested or interested in. So if you are anyone who blames women or society for your personal results, if you're someone who refuses to take consistent action, if you're a man who is comfortable being average, sitting in their comfortable or comfortability zone, and if you're not willing to change your perspective, then this isn't for you, so feel free to exit the video at a point that you wish. However, if you are someone who is hungry to reach their full potential and understand what they are capable of, someone who wants to build true confidence and status, again, together, that build in perfectly, a man who wants to become high value in every aspect, both inside and out, and an action taker who's ready to apply and evolve on a daily basis, then listen up, this message is for you. Why are you here then? You're tired of feeling stuck and understanding that you're capable of more. Maybe you want discipline, direction, and daily momentum. You might keep saying, I'll start tomorrow, I'll start tomorrow, I'll start tomorrow, and ironically, tomorrow never seems to come. You're done chasing women and want to become the man that they chase. You want to be a man that attracts women as opposed to spend the rest of your life chasing after them and wasting energy where you could be building your empire. You want to build a life that demands respect, first of all, from yourself. One of the most important aspects to this whole cycle is self-respect and self-trust. The mindset shift you need to have in order to break away from old you and into the new, more refined and stronger you is quite simply this, something related to my story. In this picture here, you can see a picture of me when I was, I think, about 14, maybe. It represents a guy who was extroverted and full of misinterpreted confidence. And what I mean by that is I would very happily still go and talk to people and be the life of the party, but it was in a crave for attention and validation which never allowed me to be sustainably satisfied, because sustainability always comes from within. What you build, the foundations you build, which are all to do with your self-improvement and self-development. If we go over to the right side, the difference you have here is not only a man who is physically strong and healthy, but also a man who attracts females into their life effortlessly, I may say, and a man who is socially incredibly energetic, which doesn't only attract females, but also allows me to network and make socially economic moves at a more productive rate. And I want to tell you a bit about my story. I've broken it down into 3 major turning points for me. The first being the Great Escape. The Great Escape is when I was first introduced to traveling. My first destination was Brazil. I believed as an 18-year-old, I ran a successful business for a 17, 18-year-old. Football coaching, saved up all my money. As soon as I had the opportunity to, I went, right, I'm going out and I'm leaving the country. Although in my mind, it was like I'm sticking a big rucksack on my back. I'm jumping from disgusting hostel to disgusting hostel. And sooner or later, I found out that isn't the way to travel when I met some guys out there who were doing some very different things. Luckily, my energy was always quite high, so I attracted good people who wanted to be around me. And through this, I experienced how traveling should really be. I remember I was in a bar one time with some guys and they were like, right, let's get another round of beer. And I was sitting there like, I don't have money for a round of beer. I have just enough money for tonight for my beer, you know, and then that's what I've scheduled in, my $20 a day budget. And they were there like, no, don't worry about it, Diego, it's on us. You know, we live here, we're living this life every day. You're coming here on a budget and doing this, but we're chilling and living here every day. And that really changed my perspective. More so than anything, to understand that I hadn't been told everything. When I was sat in school being told that maths and literature was the most imperative lesson that I'd ever have, and that failure was almost shunned upon as opposed to something that was glorified, which it should be, I there and then figured out that I'd been misguided massively and that it would eventually be time to take things into my own hand as a man who wanted to succeed and be productive in life. My second biggest lesson came not so long after that, probably a year after that, when I went through my first real heartbreak. It took me over a year to not only get over this girl, but resume my life and resume the building of my empire as a man. I was distraught. The only word I can think of to describe me within this year is absolutely and utterly pathetic. I had no awareness as to what had happened, as to what I should do, and it put me at a massive disadvantage. There were guys going past me, overtaking me, taking opportunities that I should have taken, and I was sitting there moping about a girl that, by the way, was very low quality. So I have been at the lowest of the lows, both emotionally and physically. And emotionally in this scenario, I allowed my emotions to dictate my actions. It was only about a year and a bit after where I discovered the power I could attain from the pain I was still feeling. I almost got to a point where it was complete breaking point for me. It was like life or death. And I was like, okay, let me just try and put this pain into something productive because I'm going nowhere. I've spent a year moping around for this girl. Fuck it. So what did I do? I started to put the pain into the gym. I started to put the pain into the focus. I started to put the pain into my 10K runs, into my 15K runs. And now I was building momentum. When I experienced that, not only did I start to build momentum, but I started to realize if that tiny mind shift could change my whole entire life and my whole entire situation, I wonder what other areas in life that I'm completely misguided and wrong about. And then I started to ask the question why. Everything I did, I started to ask, why do I do this? Why do we do that as a society? Are these people wanting the best for us? Is this going to be the best logical thing for me? I started to apply logic to my life, and then I started to reap the rewards. But it was only on number 3 here where I really started to see huge levels of growth, when I started to take risks, and I started to understand what risks were. To elaborate on the risk, there's something called the negative bias, which is essentially centuries and centuries of evolution that's made us as a species of human fear danger, fear uncomfortability. And when we encounter these situations, usually cave in a hole of survival and react negatively to all of them things. We've evolved as a species since then, and it's now necessary to embrace fear, uncomfortability, and danger to actually strive as a man. When I understood the power of risk, I started to take more and more and learned that when you have immediate action or growth that needs to be taken, you have to take the risks that come with it. And the bigger the risks, the bigger the reward. And the bigger the risks, the bigger the failures, the bigger the understanding. When you look at everything in a win-win situation, especially because the worst case scenario ever is dying. And in 99% of the situations, we're not gonna die, right? Our life is not a risk. And when you ask yourself, what is the worst that can happen? Usually it's something very minute and a failure very light, that allows you to go full force ahead and take as many risks as you want and learn and experience. And that's what builds your character. That's what allows you to understand the mannerisms you need to evolve to strive in this life as a man. There are a few common misconceptions that I hear guys talking about, making and saying that really grinds my gears. First and foremost, I need to be fully ready before I start. And the truth about this is you're stalling. You're waiting for the perfect condition, and you think clarity comes before action, but it's the other way around. The reality is that every day you wait, someone is passing you, someone less talented but more willing than you is taking your girl, taking your job, taking your money, taking your status, taking your opportunities. Another one is, once I get her, I feel complete. There are guys that rely on women to fill these holes, and you think love will fix the hole that you have inside, but no one can save a man who has not fixed himself. The reality is that she is a bonus, not the blueprint, and you as a man should have a complete and strong framework to allow a woman to be coming into. The third one is that people think they can do it all on their own, they're going to figure out all on their own. But what I'd ask you is, how is that going for you now? Because most people are stuck in the same cycle. You can tell yourself you don't need help, that you can stay disciplined without support, but every time you slip up, there's no one to call you out, so you stay stuck in this negative cycle of inaction, of not actually progressing forward. Real growth requires structure, pressure, and brotherhood. Ask yourself, Are you the man you know you could be? If the answer is no, which it is going to be for the majority of you, then it's okay. We're going to solve this together. We're going to talk about these 3 core pillars, right? Becoming the man who commands any room. Envision that, you walking into a room of 50, 60, 100, 1,000 people, and instead of you looking at who to talk to, what girl do I need to attract, they're looking at you. You become a man that commands a room. You become strong. You become fierce. You become high status. You become someone to know, someone to admire. High status comes from within. The energy, the presence, the confidence. A lot of people think that status revolves around finances. First and foremost, to be most productive and efficient with your finances, you need to build a strong status within, the confidence, the dominance, the characteristics that women desire. And also, once you have them finances, you need to have the trace of a strong masculine frame to do something productive with them. Or you're probably going to spend it all on OnlyFans, porn, and the casino. Women are attracted to the men that understand the game. I have this conversation a lot with people. They compete with me and they're like, bro, I can get these girls. But you don't understand the game. I understand the game. I've studied the game. I've created an aspect of the game. You guys at home are chasing and trying and putting effort in. But if you don't understand the rules, you were never actually in the game that you think you're in. And a lot of people talk about this to me, and I tell them, I open them up to a few insights, like the insights we're talking about now, that allow you to kind of understand the game a bit better. And then you realize, when you understand the game, you're able to play it at a much more efficient basis. We're going to give you 3 case studies from the truth. First of all, I want you to look at this really quickly. This is an insight into some of the courses we have inside of the truth. So we have the Modern King's Playbook, the Secrets of Selection, the Truth Commandments, the High Value Man Formula, the Language of Woman. These are just some intricate courses that we dive into within the program, as well as many other features. I'm going to give you three case studies that we have in our course. First of all, Ariel. When I started working with Diego, I had just started to change my life around from a lazy kid who played video games all day and 106 kilograms of fat to a person who goes to the gym and weighs 75 kg. And now, after working with Diego for 6 months, I'm more disciplined and accountable. I've learned a mentality which allows me to not make excuses, do things regardless of how I feel, with or without energy, and more confident as a person. The lack of excuses is huge and imperative to developing your life as a man, and you can attain that mindset with us inside of the truth. Corey said, my perspective has completely changed since working with Diego. When I started working with Diego, I had huge levels of social anxiety and struggled massively with confidence and social interactions. I also struggled a lot with my levels of discipline and my work ethic, and was quite lazy. Now, after working with Diego for 10 months, I'm in the best physical shape of my life. My confidence levels are through the roof, and I no longer struggle socially. I'm a lot more disciplined and productive, and consistently improving and becoming a better man. These changes are possible. It's a step-by-step process, and it starts with you taking action. Enrico, who, by the way, through his work ethic in the truth, now works for me. I've leveled up in so many ways thanks to Diego. When I started working with Diego, I did not know how to talk to people in a way that would level me up. I've always been smart, but when I got around important people, I never knew what to say. After working with Diego for 6 months, I now command every room I walk into. Everyone is looking at me instead of me looking at them. And that has opened so many opportunities up for me. That's a picture of Enrico, Corey, and Ariel. These are real people inside of the truth that you will meet when you are inside. The old method of it's society's fault and the past that I've lived through, and I had a rough childhood and my dad hit me and I didn't have any money in my family and I didn't get to go to university and I dropped out of school early, don't work in today's society. My way, the mirror method. Clean the mirror before blaming the reflection. Do every single bit, an ounce of work you can to make sure that mirror is the best looking mirror possible. Then look at yourself and tell yourself the truth. And when you have done the work, only when you have done all the work, you come back to that mirror and you tell yourself that you fucking did it, because you will not be looking at the same person that you are looking at now. When you look and you feel pain and you feel fear of loneliness and you feel fear of rejection, you'll be looking at a completely different man that does not recognize himself because of the amount of growth that we have implemented in your life. You are either one of two people. One person that says, I'll wait till next week, the amount of times, I'll wait till next week, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it in another time, oh, it's not the right time, I don't have the facilities for that now. And then there are people that make it happen. There are people that don't allow excuses into their life and do everything in their power to make it happen. I understand that action is the quickest path to growth. And if you don't understand that, then you're a step behind, but we can still take you and adapt your mindset. I told you for a lot of things in my life, it was a quick shift in mindset that allowed the massive level of elevation. The truth, there is no time frame for becoming a high value man. It's something that needs to be nurtured every single day. We need to create great habits that you are able to maintain, so you're able to build off of them good habits, big skills, and high level value assets within your life. So the good habits, the normal habits, the everyday habits are maintained in an effortless manner. This is what you will achieve in the first 30 days. You will form not only the right habits to become a high value man, you'll be held strongly and strictly accountable, not only personally by me with the access you have to me inside of the community, but also by other members that care about each other, a brotherhood that look out for each other, that are honest with each other, that hold each other accountable. This is your time to get out of the friendship group that's still doing drugs, that's still partying every weekend, that can't talk to you about real stuff and business. Our mission is to help you evolve into the best version of yourself, not just in terms of dating and relationships, but across every aspect of your life. When you work with me inside of the truth, you get weekly live coaching calls, which include one-to-one talking and great insights into very intricate and not societistically accessible information. The complete masculine framework to achieve the high status and the man that you want to and need to be to strive in today's society. A brotherhood of high value men who will hold you accountable, as we just talked about. Daily access to me, any questions, any concerns. You want to call me and tell me, Diego, what color socks should I put on today? You do that. And exclusive events and meetups regularly throughout the year all over the world. A bonus for everyone who joins, you get access, as long as you take action straight away, to an exclusive Instagram group chat with direct access to me. You have access to me regardless through the school community. But inside the group chat, we will be more active, we will be more responsive, it will be a more personal approach. So if you join now and show us that you are ready to take sincere action and elevate your life, you will have access to that Instagram community and access to me within that group chat. As I've said, guys, there's two people in this life, people that take action and people that wait for someone else to overtake them. Decide who you're going to be.